Hello friends. Today's experience was sent to us by a sister. She died and shared a shocking truth concerning what she saw in hell, especially those who are good on earth, who care about others. There is something they need to know or else may end up in hell too. Stay to the end to understand her experience. My name is Ferlinda Kembrut. I was just like any other person, waking up each day, going about my routine, and never thinking much about what lay beyond this life. I had a good life, nothing too special, nothing too bad. I laughed, I worked, I made mistakes, and I moved on. I believed in God, but I didn't always think about Him. Life felt long, and death seemed far away. I had plans, dreams, and things I wanted to do. I was focused on my own world, my own problems, and my own desires. To me, tomorrow was always guaranteed. It started like any other day. The sun rose, people went about their business, and I followed my normal routine. I ate, talked, and did what I usually did. Nothing felt different. But as the day went on, something strange began to happen. A feeling I couldn't explain crept over me. It wasn't fear or pain, just a deep sense that something was about to change. And then, in a moment I never saw coming, my world went dark. I didn't understand what was happening at first. My body felt heavy, my breath short. My heart pounded in my chest, but I couldn't move the way I wanted to. A strange weakness took over, like my strength was being drained away. I tried to call for help, but my voice was barely a whisper. People were around me, their faces filled with worry, but their voices seemed distant. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Then came the moment I never expected. My body gave in and I felt myself slipping away. It was unlike anything I had ever known, like I was being pulled out of myself. I wasn't breathing anymore. I wasn't standing. I wasn't alive. Yet I was still there. I could see, I could hear, but in a different way. My body lay lifeless, but I remained. That was when I knew death had come for me. At first, there was silence. Then, an overwhelming darkness swallowed everything. It wasn't like closing your eyes or being in a dark room. This was deeper, emptier. I wanted to move, to find light, to wake up, but I couldn't. A weight pressed against me, heavy and suffocating. I was falling, yet I wasn't sure where to. Out of the darkness, a presence emerged. I couldn't see its face, but I felt its power. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't warm. Then, before me, my life played out like a reflection in a mirror. Every word I had spoken, every action, every thought, I saw it all. The good, the bad, and the things I had tried to forget. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. Regret flooded over me. Every time I ignored the truth, every time I chose my own way instead of God's, every wasted moment, I felt it all at once. It was like being locked in a cage, a prison of my own making. I had thought I had time. I had thought tomorrow was certain. But now, tomorrow was gone. I remembered the warnings, the sermons I had heard, the moments I felt something tugging at my heart, telling me to change, to repent. But I had brushed them aside. Now those memories burned. They weren't just thoughts, they were pain. I wanted another chance. One more breath. One more moment to make things right. But time had run out. Then I saw a path stretching before me. Narrow, steep, and covered in shadows. I felt a pull toward it, as if I had no choice but to walk forward. Fear gripped me. Every step I took felt heavier. It wasn't just my body, something unseen was pressing down on me. A crushing weight, made up of every wrong decision, every selfish act, every moment I had ignored what was right. It wasn't just guilt. It was like carrying the full cost of my own mistakes, feeling their weight as if they had turned into something real. No excuses, no way to hide. Then, in the darkness, I heard them. Voices crying out. Some wept, others screamed. Some begged for mercy, but there was no answer. Their words filled the air, thick with regret. Some called out to loved ones they could never see again. Others cried for a second chance. But no one was listening. The worst part was that I understood them. Their pain wasn't just noise. It was real. Then I saw faces I knew. At first, they were only shadows, shapes moving in the dim light. But as I walked closer, their faces became clear. Faces I recognized. People I had known. Some were old friends, others were distant relatives. A few were just familiar faces from school, the neighborhood, or even the streets where I used to walk. Their eyes told their stories, eyes filled with sorrow, regret, and something worse. Some stared at me as if begging for help. Others didn't seem to see me at all, lost in their own pain. I saw a man I had once admired, a successful businessman, always dressed in fine suits, always talking about money. But now, he was clutching his empty hands, his face twisted in horror. He kept counting invisible coins, stacking them over and over, but no matter how many times he tried, they disappeared into nothing. His voice was hoarse as he muttered, "More? I just need more," over and over again. A woman sat on the ground, weeping bitterly. She had been beautiful once, always the center of attention. But now, her face was lined with sorrow, her hands clawing at her own reflection in a pool of black water. "They don't see me anymore," she whispered, rocking back and forth. "They don't care. I'm nothing now." Her beauty, which she had used to manipulate and control, was meaningless here. A boy, no older than me, stood in the distance, his eyes wide with fear. His hands trembled as he tried to cover his ears, but he couldn't block out the voices around him. I recognized him from school. He used to laugh at others, call them names, push the weak aside. Now, the voices wouldn't stop whispering in his ear, repeating every cruel word he had ever said. And then I saw this woman in the neighborhood. She had been kind to me once. She had smiled, encouraged me when I was struggling. But she was here too, her hands covering her face, her shoulders shaking with grief. I wanted to call out to her, to ask why, but before I could, the darkness swallowed her up. I reached out. I wanted to help them, to speak, to ask what had happened. But I couldn't. My voice wouldn't come. My hands passed through them like mist. They were on their own path. And so was I. The path stretched on, through the shadows. There was no end in sight. Each step felt heavier, harder, as if something unseen was pressing down on me. I didn't know where I was going. I only knew I had to keep moving. Around me, I saw more people, more souls wandering through the darkness. Some screamed in agony, their voices raw with pain. Others walked silently, their heads down, as if they had given up long ago. I saw a man dragging heavy chains behind him, each link burning into his skin. With every step he winced, but he wouldn't let go. I realized those chains were made of the lies he had told, the people he had deceived. They were attached to him, weighing him down forever. Another man was surrounded by books, thousands of them, stacked in endless piles. He had spent his life gathering knowledge, arguing, proving others wrong. But here, the books were empty, just pages of blank nothingness. He grabbed at them, flipping through the pages, desperately searching for meaning. But there was none. A woman stood in front of a mirror, but her reflection was shattered, broken into 1,000 pieces. She touched the glass, trying to fix it, but no matter how hard she tried, the cracks only deepened. She had spent her life pretending, hiding who she really was, but now, she couldn't escape the truth. The deeper I went, the more hopeless it became. There was no light, no way back, no way out. I began to wonder, was this forever? Suddenly, a light, brighter than anything I had ever seen, burst into the darkness. It wasn't like the dim lights I had seen before. This was different. It wasn't just light, it was warmth, power, and something I couldn't explain. I lifted my head, and through the brilliance, I saw Jesus. He stood there, shining with a radiance that cut through the shadows. His presence filled the emptiness, pushing back the torment, the despair, the fear. Every lost soul around me turned toward him, their pain momentarily forgotten. He didn't shout. He didn't give a long speech. He simply spoke one sentence. "Men should seek me in truth and spirit." His voice wasn't loud, yet it filled every corner of the darkness. It was gentle but carried more power than anything I had ever heard. It wasn't just a command, It was an invitation, a calling. Then, just as suddenly as he had appeared, everything faded. The light, the darkness, the wandering souls, all of it vanished. And I woke up. Brothers and sisters, we must wake up. Life is not just about what we see, what we touch, or what we chase in this world. There is a reality beyond this one, and one day, we will all stand before it. Many live as if time will wait for them, as if tomorrow is promised. They ignore the warnings, silence their conscience, and turn away from God's call. But the truth is, every choice we make, every action, every word, it all leads somewhere. Some roads lead to life, others to destruction. I have seen what awaits those who live without Christ. I have seen the weight of regret, the endless suffering of souls who refused to turn back while they had the chance. They were not all murderers or thieves. Some were just people who delayed repentance. Some had good intentions but never truly sought Jesus. They lived in half-truths, in lukewarm faith. But I have also seen the mercy of Christ. Even in the deepest darkness, His light breaks through. Even at the edge of despair, His voice calls out, "Seek me in truth and spirit." This is not a request. It is a command and a lifeline. Jesus is not asking for empty religion, for routine prayers without heart, for church attendance without change. He is calling for true seekers, people who will worship Him with sincerity, who will live by His word, and who will turn away from sin with their whole hearts. Do not wait until it is too late. Do not assume that you have more time. Today, now, this very moment, turn to Christ with all your heart. Seek Him while He may be found. Call on Him while He is near. For when the final moment comes, when the soul leaves the body, there will be no more choices left to make. All right, friends. This brings us to the end of today's experience. Kindly like and share this video with your friends and families. Kindly subscribe to our channel and turn on your notification bell icon to be the first to get updated anytime we upload a new experience sent to us. Remain blessed.